In this beginner-friendly video, I'm showing you how to paint a watercolor cat in 4 very simple steps. Hello, my friends. Welcome back. My name is Shayda Campbell. If you've always been scared to paint animals, or you've always wanted to draw or paint a cat, but you never have, join the club. Today, I'm breaking this watercolor cat down into 4 simple steps so you can do it and it feels achievable. Let's talk supplies first. I'm working in a little watercolor sketchbook. It's 140-pound cold pressed paper. This is from Strathmore. Remember, supplies are linked in the description. You'll need watercolor paints, a glass or 2 of clean water, paper towel for blotting your brush, and then a couple sizes of round paintbrushes. You'll also need a pencil and eraser because step 1 is to draw a simple face. And I start that face with the nose, which is just a rounded triangle. Add 2 curving lines, those will be the nostrils, and then the snout, just that line with the 2 more curving lines, I guess. This is a really simple drawing. Then you're just going to kind of place 2 eyes. I like to give myself some guidelines there so that I don't put the eyes too close to the nose. The eyes are just 2 circles, and then we kind of go around them. You do that little line out and then give them a nice dark perimeter. That's what makes them look like the cat eye. The pupil, of course, is long and thin, and then you just want to place a little highlight. And that's it, guys. That's all we're going to draw. Now, I like to get rid of all my messy pencil lines before I go over this with watercolor. You never want to paint over heavy pencil. And then I just sketch everything back in super light and clean. So do your best to get rid of excess pencil. And that is step 1 complete. Step 2, we are going to paint the face. So let's talk about mixing up some colors first. I am going to paint kind of a white grayish cat. So I'm mixing French gray with lots and lots of water. And then I'm also mixing in a little white. So you can see on the palette that I have some light grays, some dark grays. And then down here, I also mixed white with like a little tiny hint of brown and maybe a bit of gray so that you kind of have like a browny, warmer gray. You also want to mix up a little bit of like a peachy pink color. That's just for the nose and the ears. I think I mixed Jaune Brilliant with Cold Pink. And then you need a little bit of black and whatever color you want to do the eyes. Okay, let's paint the face. I'm starting with the nose. I'm using a small round brush and we'll just fill that triangle shape in. Then I'm going to pick up a little bit of that black that I mixed, and I'm using, again, like a really tiny round brush, whatever you're comfortable with. A number 2 or 3 is good. And we're just going to paint those pupils in, being careful not to get any paint on the highlight. I'll also use black to draw in my little mouth or snout area. And then I am going to carefully fill in the iris, and I'm using a nice blue, green, kind of bright teal color. Of course, you can use any color you like. And you either need to wait until those black pupils are dry or just be very careful because you don't want the black and blue to blend. And then we will come over here to our palette and pick up a little bit of a darker teal or whatever color you're using. And while that light pupil area is still wet, we're going to release the darker color into it, and you're going to get this nice wet into wet blend. It's going to be very gentle. And then we need to let that dry. So that's what I didn't really show here to keep things moving. You need it to dry. Then you come back in with your black, and we're going to trace around the eye. And that line can be thick in some areas and thin in others. The less uniform it is, the more it's going to look like a real eye, a real cat eye. Like my shirt? You can get one for yourself. Check the merch shelf below this video. I'll also kind of draw in my little nostrils. I decided to make mine a little bigger. Finally, I'm going to clean my brush and then come back with a damp, clean brush and just muss this mouth area up. Gives it kind of a shaded look. And guys, we are almost done the face. So now I'm taking a larger round brush. I'm grabbing that very light whitish brown. And all we want to do is kind of finish up this little snout area. So I'm kind of giving my cat like 2 little cheeks there. So 2 little round areas on both sides of the mouth. Okay, just do it really messy. And then we're going to fill in the chin right underneath there. So a third area, fill that in. You can see how the face is coming together and we're so close to being done. What I want to do now is add a little bit of shadow. So using a darker gray, I'm kind of filling in along the bottom of the chin and the bottom of the cheeks, I guess we'll call them, the little snout. So you're just adding a little bit of darker gray, and you want to do this while everything is wet so that everything blends really easily. Maybe I put a little too much dark gray there, but you can always sop it up with a dry brush and just continue until you think it looks good and it looks natural. Okay, step 2, painting the face is complete. Now for step 3, we're gonna get fun and we add all the fluff. So use a larger brush now, maybe a number 8 like me, and grab from those light gray paints that you mixed. And we are just going to make this kitty look fluffy. So she gets all her fur. I added some fur between the eyes. And then to paint her face, I'm going to go around adding these little long brush strokes, and I move all around her face in a circle, and the brush strokes are going to go outwards like the spokes on a wheel or the hands on a clock. And in that way, we're going to give her this nice round fluffy face. And then any fur that we add below the face, down at the bottom of the page here, is going to face, or the brush strokes are going to go towards the bottom of your page. And in that way, we're gonna make this really natural little cat portrait and it's gonna be really easy. You can see sometimes I'm using big, messy, wet areas of color, always going in the direction though that I mentioned. And then at other times, I'm doing these tiny little thin brush strokes. So that way I can create color and also create the look of fur. It's a fun process. Don't get hung up on this looking or seeming difficult, because it's actually a lot of fun. And if you make sure that the brush strokes are always moving in the right direction, I promise you it's going to look good and it's going to look like a cat. Eventually you'll work your way to the top of her head, and you need to give her 2 ears. And you're just going to kind of use the gray, the light gray, to sketch into triangle shapes. They should start right above each eye. So my ears start about centered above the eye and go out from there. And you can see the ears are so light. If I didn't like the placement, I could probably change them a little bit. With our ears sketched in place, we will come over to the palette and pick up a very light pink. And then I'm just going to add a little bit at the top of each ear. From there, I rinse my brush, and with a clean, damp brush, I just blend that color out so that it's darker towards the top and light, light, light towards the fur at the bottom. You can always add more color in if you need to, getting that nice wet into wet blend, and that's really it. Step 3, which was, adding the fluff, is now complete. On to our last and final step, number 4, is just adding detail. So we're going to use a wet on dry technique to pretty up this kitty. You want to make sure she is totally dry, and we're going to add like very thin lines around and in front of her ears, some darker gray on her fur, on her face, and on her chest down here at the bottom. We'll add some little dotting on her snout, and of course we're going to give her whiskers. You know, all these little details that really just make her come to life. Don't go too dark if you are trying to paint a white cat. It's easy to go too dark and then she'll look gray or brown. But yeah, that's really all there is to it. To complete my cat, I added a little bit of darker gray on the left side here just to further add shading. I wanted to add a little bit of darker gray around the eyes so they didn't look like they were just sitting on top of her head. I needed to lengthen the whiskers, and then I added some darker pink to the nose so that it would look more three-dimensional, and that's it. My 4-step cat is complete. I hope this gives you the confidence to paint a cat, do a pet portrait. Be sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.